Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today in 5 Lakes Garage, we're going to dig into this Dana 300. We're going to go ahead and completely tear it down. Do have some parts ordered for it. Should come in within the next week. I'll follow up with a part 2 of the series and how to put it all back together. But right now it's going to be the nasty part of tearing it all apart. So let's go ahead and get started, because there's a lot to do. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is actually get this plate off here. This is actually connected to the back of the transmission. I did try to take it off from there to begin with, but there was a couple of bolts, a couple of nuts that just did not want to come out. So I got it on the bench, and it's a lot easier. Now, most of the thing we're going to be using would be this wrench right here. It's got a 9/16 on one end, and it also has a 1/2 inch on the other. When we can, we're going to use the 6-point socket to do most of the braking, but this will actually come in handy. Would rather have a 6-point, but gotta use what you got, right? One tool that's really handy is this little dead blow hammer. It's plastic on one side and it's copper or brass on the other side, rather, and works pretty well at just kind of tapping things off without destroying them. So tap, tap, tap. Alright, make sure you save all your washers. Alright, so you're going to be tempted to take out the two housings here. I'm going to leave those on real quick, so I'm going to take the center one out first. The reason why I do that is that the weight of this here and these being floppy, it's a little bit harder to get this gear out. So let's take the centerpiece out. Now when you take this is only a 1/2 inch bolt here. It's got your two identification tags. You got to keep those on there. You don't want to lose those. And right underneath that is your retainer. All right, one good thing there is just have some place to put all your fasteners. You do not want to lose them. Now the better idea is actually lay down a piece of cardboard and mark out all the ones that came where. Like that. That's the retainer for the center pin. Here's your retainer. We're going to clean that up. Get rid of some of the crud. So there's the retainer. Now we just got to poke it out. All right, so when you're pulling this out, there's an O-ring right here. Don't worry, you're going to be replacing that. And also you're going to get freaked out as soon as this comes out. Needle bearings are going to go everywhere. That's okay, keep a hold of them. More come with the new kit, so you should be fine. Just don't freak out. Oh, I can hear them. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, so there's all your needle bearings. So there's plenty of them in there. Now, a couple things you want to do is just actually look at your shaft, make sure there isn't any excessive wear. That actually looks pretty decent. You can definitely see where the roller bearings sit and all the seals. Now this this O-ring is pretty much gone, so that could be one reason why she's leaking so bad. So there you go. There's all your needle bearings. There you got your spacer in the middle. You got your one spacer on the outside, and there's all your needle bearings. Now there are a bunch of them down here at the bottom that you got to get out. Obviously you don't want to leave that inside the case. So right there. Now you do have these little shims. These are basically thrush washers. You're gonna have two of them, one on either side of that gear set. There we go. So now we got one of each. They also have little tabs on them, and that actually fits inside the block, so these don't spin. So keep those handy. And actually, you can put everything back onto your sleeve here. It'll keep them all together. All right, so let's inspect this guy. All the teeth are there, which is good. Just kind of hoping to have a date. That'd be awesome. Anyway. But it is made by Dana. It's for 300. At least that's good. All right, so the next thing you want to do is go all the way down in there and get your fork retainer Allen screws out of the way. I would show you, but my hands are messing. I can't. All right, so if you look way down in there, our next step is you got to remove this guy and remove that guy. So we're gonna remove that so we can get the forks out. Pretty much it. Alrighty, tools. Now that is a 3/16. You're gonna need one of those. Alright, in order to get these forks out, what you need to do is put like a little punch or something like that in here and actually rotate it. And what that's gonna do on the other side, which I'll show you here in a little bit, is that it's a ball bearing with a spring. And when I get the shaft out, you'll be able to see exactly how all that works. Because then when you shift it, it goes dink, 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 you know, that type of thing. Well, those are actually built into the shaft. And what you're doing is you're rotating it to get that ball bearing on the shaft itself. So you should be able to easily, there you go, pull it out. Now don't pull it out too much because you don't want that ball bearing to shoot across the floor. So let's get this guy out. All right, go ahead and take off your, this would be for your 4-wheel drive light. Just inspect it, make sure it's okay. It's a little rusty, but looks like when I painted it last time, the reason why my light wouldn't work is because I painted over the socket here. So, oh well, I'll brush that up. It is a 7/16, or I'm sorry, 7/8 socket. Go ahead and pull that off, put it in your bucket. Now the next one over actually is it threads in, but you have to use a pair of pliers to get it off. Hopefully they do send another one in the kit, but I'm gonna try not to destroy it while I'm doing this. All right, there we go. So you can see it's a very flimsy piece of tin almost, but it was able to come out. It's got a little O-ring, keep that. New one should have a new one in the kit. I guess take off the front shaft. So this one right, the plate right back here actually holds the bearing tension on there. So as soon as you pull this off, everything should come right off. So let's get our 9/16. All right, a couple of odds and ends that you need to remember here. Once you pull this off, there's going to be shims back here. Now you want to keep these shims with right where they came off. All right. Now your kit is going to come with shims, but go ahead and keep these. We're not going to be replacing any gears, any shafts or anything like that. We're just going to be changing out the bearings. So these shims should be enough. Most of the time it's either 1, it could be 2, it could be 5, depending on what you needed at the time. So go ahead and keep your bolts with your item. Like I said, there's another shim. All right, let's get the front hub off. While it's in here, might as well get this big guy off, which is an 1 7/8. Let me get my impact. All right, so down inside here you got a washer. Let me get that out. Got a washer, you got a nut. Keep those together. That'll be your front. Should have one for the rear as well. So now we get to take this section off. Now I believe that's a 9/16. All right, so just keep in mind when you're actually taking this front cover off, you're taking this entire thing off. So it actually holds the front bearing in, the front seal, which is disgusting by the way. And then also the shift forks, that the more I look at it, the more I see how bent they are. I believe I'm gonna be getting some new ones. I think they're about 12 bucks a piece. Alrighty. Alright, so here's the entire assembly. You have your race right here, you have your seal. Seal's pretty gacked. You also have your rods. I'll figure out why this guy is so hard to get out. Get them all cleaned up. I'll see if they're straight. If they're not straight, then we'll get rid of it and get some new ones. But there it is. So we can put this out and put it over to the side. And now we should maybe get these darn forks out. There we go. All right. So here is the front fork. It actually doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit of wear. Actually, not bad at all. There's a little bit of wear on the tabs. So I'm thinking this thing's been gone through before, now that I look at this, but why didn't they put tabs on the front, on the back fork? Kind of weird. Yeah, because I can see it's been rubbing against that for a while. I'll clean it up and see if it's usable. It should be, but I still need those tabs. All right, here's one problem with the Dana 300. In order to get this guy out and get the bearings replaced, you got to press this bearing off. So one thing that you can do is actually put this into the press straight down, and the bearing going against the housing is strong enough to actually pull that off. So it's not a huge deal. It's just awkward and a pain in the butt. So let's get the back half off. Word. All right, first of all, sorry for all the fans, but it is really hot in here. All right, so I got the speedometer cable gear out. This particular one is a metal gear. Usually they're made out of plastic. Kind of interesting. But the other interesting part is that the reason why I couldn't get it off, and I finally unfortunately broke it off, is because you got to get this guy out before you can actually take, it's all one unit. What kind of garbage is that? So basically it sits like this, and then, you know, it spins around and this, that, and the other, and then the cable comes out from here, but it's all crimped in. So I might not have a speedometer for a while. It's gonna suck. All right, learn something new every day. I will tackle that with some research. And also, just to get that out, and this is why the part I don't understand, is that this guy's in there, right? It is recessed down in here. You can't really get a socket on that. I actually had to go up there and machine down my socket. So I ground down the edge so it'll fit inside the casting. But then I also had to, let's see, there's another one. All right, this one right here, if you can see this right here, there's like a little lip to where it's kind of recessed in. Well, I had to get rid of that so that the teeth will actually bite in as soon as it starts to go on. So just to get that off, so how are you supposed to get that off with a cable hanging out of it? I don't know, I have to figure that one out. If you know, put it in the comments. All right, to get this guy off, it's pretty free right now, but this is actually pressed in. So just give it a little bit of tap. Don't use a regular ball peen. It's just much too hard. You might mushroom out the head. Use a brass. All right, so oof, looks like you got some water in there. I want some time. All right, so you got your bearing inside. You got to get these races and all the bearings out, but we're gonna do that later. So over here, try to keep everything organized and in order. Now on that housing, you will notice that there's 4 short ones and 1 long one. It's pretty self-explanatory which one's the long one, because it'll be the one with the long snout. I always like to try to put, if I can, put the bolts back into the holes and lay them over to the side so I know exactly what goes where, when, and how. All right, so next thing you need is a Torx T27. I'll actually get around, if I can get around here, get all these loose. Don't hit this with the impact, because then you will strip it out. I hate using Torx. It is what it is. My BMW was like that. So just give it a couple taps. Make sure it's in there all the way. Then you can put your wrench on, or your ratchet, hold in there real tight, and break them loose. All right, so this is another area that you really have to look at. I'm gonna clean this off so we can look at it. All right, so this right here is what rides on a needle bearing. And you can see the discoloration of where the needles actually lie. I have seen some of them in a couple of videos that I was watching that they will actually have indentations in here. So like if you leave it in too high, or you don't go to neutral, you don't go all the other stuff, so it does not rotate these. And that actually looks pretty good. But anyway, there would be grooves and stuff like that. So probably what we'll do here is just take like some 800 grit sandpaper, just kind of semi-polish it up. But there's also a bearing in here and all the other good stuff that we're gonna have to take out. We just need to take the clip out. We'll do that in a minute. All right, so this is the fork retainer. Looks okay. A little bit of wear, but it's not bad. We can reuse that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get some of these bearings off so we can actually pull all this apart so we can have a bare case so we can clean it. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back into tearing all this stuff down. You still have a bearing inside here you got to replace. First you need to get the snap ring off. Bearings will come off. There are some shims in there, be careful with that. Also, one of the alright, the needle bearings that went inside here, man, that was a pain in the butt to get out, because that stuff, it kind of looks brittle, but it's not. I had to mangle it to get out, but the kit will come out with a new one. So let's get this guy off. Now I do have some pliers here that get these snap rings off, but I don't know if these are strong enough. I might have to change my tips. Alright, got my new snap rings. Had to change my tips. Get your little ring off. Then you should be able to pull your gears off. Now try to have some room so you do not get them mixed up. Put it down. Alright, there's my bearing. Wow, that's a lot of crud. Alright, so we're gonna have to get that bearing out. Alright, in order to get this guy out, there's a little snap ring right here. You kind of pull that out, and then it should come right out. It should just fall out like butter. There you go. There's your snap ring. Let's pull that out. So now this, in theory, there she goes. Alright. So always inspect everything. It looks okay. I'm probably gonna hit it with some maybe 1000 grit sandpaper. Kind of clean that up again. You should get a new seal. This one is hashed. Now the bearing itself, just press it off and then press the new one on. Down in between here, there should be some shims if you needed them to be able to keep all the spacing, because you don't want any free play at all on this stuff. So we just I'll just press that off and we should be good to go. All right, these are these shift rods right here, and I took some 1000 grit paper, which is around here somewhere, and just kind of polished it up a little bit. I was trying to look for any imperfections. There's a couple scratches in there. It's not too big of a deal. You should be okay. I thought it was bent, but I think it's just the tip that's bent. Anyway, I put my twin sticks up there just to make sure that they operate. So you got 2 high, neutral, 4 wheel, 4 high, low rather. Dang, I can't talk. Anyway, and then this one obviously does 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive. Now here's the thing, down in the bottom of these two are some ball bearings and a spring. So if you take these out, put a rag over the top, because they will fly out. I have seen people where they will take a, actually one guy used a drumstick to basically, you hammer it in this way, it's the same diameter, and it will keep your ball down below. Now if you pull them out, I'm probably going to pull these out anyway and get the ball bearings out, just so I can clean down there by the springs. It looks like this transfer case had a lot of water in it, so I want to make sure that is nice and clean. So I will be taking the balls out. Quick easy way, and I'll show you once we install them. Just get yourself a big flat-headed screwdriver. You're going to stick that in, hold it down while you're hammering the other side, and then as you hammer it in, the rod will take place of your screwdriver and the ball will stay in. Also keep a rag on top because they will fly out. Anyway, that shifts a whole lot better than it did before. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Once my parts come in, I already ordered a full master rebuild kit for this. It's going to come with bearings, seals, gaskets, shims. It's going to come with everything. I wanted to tear it down first before I ordered those, only because I wanted to make sure that I was going to buy everything that I needed. A lot of times, some of these shafts, actually where's it at? This one? Yep, there it is. So this one right here in particular, like I said before, will have the needle bearings kind of engraved in there. This is actually in pretty good shape. I definitely wanted to check that before I ordered, because if you order that one, it's going to take a little bit longer to get here, so I kind of wanted to have it all come at the same time. So I have it set up in a way that I should be able just to pop it back in as I replace bearings. Hopefully all my shims are where they're supposed to be. The good thing about videoing it is that I can go back to my video and be like, okay, I forgot that. Let's put that in. So anyway, stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll be putting all this stuff back together and putting it back into the pumpkin. And yeah, should be in good shape. So go ahead and like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your brother, tell your mother, tell your sister. I really don't care. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and we will talk to you later. Bye.